I have so much to be thankful for. I'm in a career that I love to do, and I'm on the radio. I have a radio show. I take great pride that we do the show live. That's the juice for me right there, is doing live. And it's just, I've always been just so attracted to that medium of radio, more than television. There's nothing like radio, doing radio. And I'm just so thankful to be able to do it, and to have done over 100 radio broadcasts. It's still mind-blowing to me.
Welcome to Friends in the Corner podcast, stories and topics from around Kentucky. I'm your host, Dan Polly, coming to you from beautiful Lexington, Kentucky. Excited to be with you guys again for another episode, and hope that all of you have had a wonderful, safe, and joyous 4th of July this past weekend. Hope you got to celebrate and hug a few people. With the pandemic at an end, man, it's starting to feel very festive around the Bluegrass here, and I'm really excited. And me and my wife got to celebrate and enjoy our 1-year wedding anniversary as well, which we were really excited about. And I'm really excited to bring you guys a new episode of Friends in the Corner podcast this week as well, as we're going to be talking to an old voice of the show here, Mr. Adam Banks of Off the Cuff. Yeah, longtime listeners of Friends in the Corner podcast are familiar with Adam Banks and his show Off the Cuff. Adam Banks has been doing his show for many years now, and he was one of the guys that really inspired me to get into podcasting myself. So we brought him on to catch up with what's been going on with his show, but we don't just take time to talk to Adam. No, we also brought on his co-host, Amber Turner, with us as well. And this is Amber's debut episode of Friends in the Corner, so we get to learn a little bit more about her. We talk about the broadcast relationship between Amber and Adam. We talk a little bit about what's been going on with their show. We even talk about how both of them have gotten involved in the pro wrestling world as well, which is a really fun topic to kind of dive into. We talk about some of the guests they've had on over the last year, including former WWE superstar Terry Reynolds. And at the very end of this episode, I give them my top 5 most interesting people of 2021 so far to talk about. So this is a really fun episode to not only catch up with Adam, but learn a little bit more about Amber as well, and just see what's been going on with Off the Cuff. And I hope today you guys get to enjoy the episode as well. So I say, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Banks and Amber Turner of Off the Cuff. Before we jump into the interview, I gotta say that Adam and Amber here are the all-stars of podcast guests, because they literally just got done recording their own radio show, got in their cars from downtown Lexington, and drove up here to Versailles to meet me to do another show. So I appreciate you guys are pulling double duty.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. And Dan, I'm looking at your socks here. We have the same exact socks.
No way, really?
By the way, yes.
I think I got these at TJ Maxx on sale. I can't remember.
If you would have said Old Navy, I would have known for sure it was a sure thing.
You probably paid less than I did, because I got mine at Express, and they overcharge for everything.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the joys of getting right off work and changing into something a little more comfortable. So can't completely get off, though.
No, but thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, man, Adam, it's awesome to have you back on, man. I don't know if this is your 5th episode. We've done a lot of shows together.
I know. I feel like the Regis Philbin of the Friends in the Corner podcast. Because you know how Regis would come on, was it Dave Letterman all the time?
Yeah.
At least like 25, 26 times. I'm going to be your Regis.
Hey, I'm all for it, man. I was telling Catherine earlier, it's like, I think it was last year, or was I on his show? I can't remember. We're always cross selling here our shows, so it's great.
Right. When was the last time I was on? 2019?
No, you guys pulled double duty in 2020.
Yeah,
you were on Friends in the Corner, and Friends in the Corner was on Off the Cuff.
Yeah,
oh, yes.
I came on during the quarantine series when you guys were doing.
I know. I want to get you in the studio to do a show with us soon. They are still limiting how many people can go into the studio. Mm-hmm. But when that happens, we will get you in.
I'm all for it here. And then, yeah, last time you were on my show, was the Kobe Bryant tribute.
Yes. Okay, now that makes sense.
Yes. So that was with our collective group here. And so Adam's been on the show a lot, but Amber
Hi.
Turner, this is your first time on Friends in the Corner podcast.
It is. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No problem. We're excited to have you on. I came to the realization, because I've been listening to Friends in the Corner now for years, and I know the show is listed as Off the Cuff with Adam Banks, but the reality is the real host of the show is Amber Turner.
You were not the first person to say that this week.
True. I couldn't do it without her. I have to say that.
Yeah. Well, Amber, just to give my listeners a little bit about you, can you tell my listeners a little about who you are and where you're from?
Of course. Well, first of all, hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to get to speak to you guys. My name's Amber. Unfortunately, I've had the privilege of knowing Adam for about 25 years now.
Has it been 25?
It's been something like that. We've been together since we were in about the 3rd grade.
Oh, wow.
We
are Tupac and Jada Pinkett Smith.
I was going to say we're birds of a feather that flock together. But, I joined Off the Cuff in 2018 as just kind of every now and again, going to have a little fun, let's get together. And it just kind of blossomed into I stayed on full time. And when Adam got the call that the show was going to go live on the air, it was not anticipated at all that I was going to be a part of the show. I was just going to go and do his gopher work, I guess was the best way to say it. I was going to be the gopher. And about 2 minutes before we went live, I had social speaking anxiety. He knew this. And about 2 minutes before we were going to go live, he said, won't you go ahead and sit behind that mic there?
Perfect. Jump on.
Just jump right on in. So I had no prep. I had no preparation. So this is definitely a second calling in life for me, being a radio personality podcaster. But I guess other than that, I am a wife. I am a corgi mom. I am a soon-to-be certified personal trainer.
Nice.
I am a weight loss and fitness guru. And I'm currently training to become a professional women's wrestler.
There you go.
And she gives all the credit to me for all.
For getting you in. Well, you've been a wrestling fan for a while too, right?
I have, and
Okay.
it actually originated because, again, Adam and I grew up, and if you know Adam, he's very in your face. He's always been like that.
Oh yeah, I worked with the guy.
Oh yes, so you definitely understand what I'm talking about. You probably know another side of him than I do, because I've always got the side the down and hush side. I was kind of forced to be a wrestling fan because of this man. He would come in every day and give me a Stone Cold Stunner in the 5th grade in the middle of our science room. So it was kind of beat into me, literally and figuratively, at a young age, that wrestling was just cool and it's what you needed to do. And I just loved it, and it just kind of stayed with us. And it's always, every, I think, friend group, when you stay together as long as we have, you kind of have to have a commonality. And it's so weird that professional wrestling is our commonality, but at the end of the day, we always have something to talk about.
Yeah, hey, and on this particular episode, we're going to be talking a lot of wrestling.
That's right up our alley, bro.
Yeah. We'll jump into some different things here, because we've gotten to know a little bit about Amber and Adam. I mean, you're a staple of Friends in the Corner, but catch my listeners up since the Kobe Bryant tribute. What's been new with you, man?
Well, we just celebrated our 100th episode, radio broadcast, I should say, for Off the Cuff. So that was really exciting. Well, I guess personally, outside of radio, I just got a promotion at my job. Yes, I went from being an instructor to an assistant professor, which was something that I had been working on for the last year. So to see that come to fruition, it's pretty exciting.
Man, your Zoom classes must have been baller for you to get that.
Well, I've got a face for just Zoom, man. But it was that was pretty cool for me. I'm also in the process of building my first home, so I anticipate to move into that house sometime in August or September. But yeah, a lot of stuff happening.
You're forgetting one big thing.
What?
You added another title.
What's the title that I added?
He has officially became my wrestling manager.
Oh,
you would
really?
think.
Oh.
Yes. Come on.
How
could I forget?
I can see you hyping her up. Man, you have the ability to be like a Jim Cornette type of guy.
Well, I love Jimmy, and I love him, and I also love Bobby the Brain.
He's a heel.
Yes.
He's a heel, mother.
He's a heel.
But I just love everything about wrestling, so I'm excited about that new role. I knew that in order for me to break into wrestling, it would have to be in some type of capacity like a manager, because look at these arms. I don't think that I'm going to be powerlifting Brock Lesnar over me.
He's leaving that to me.
Yes, but I knew I would break into wrestling somehow. What better way to be a manager? You get to still be in front of an audience. You get to interact. You get to have a personality. And I think that would be more up my alley than taking pile drives and choke slams.
You guys are both kind of like venturing into this world. I'm kind of jealous, honestly. It's like, anyone who's ever watched, late 90s, early 2000s WWF has always thought what it would be like to be The Rock or be Stone Cold.
Yes.
Out there. So
yes, the thought of
we spent a lot of time cutting promos on each other.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the most fascinating part. I love that, you brought up The Rock, because we've been sending Rock promos back and forth to each other the last couple of months on what we think is our best, Attitude Era Rock promos.
Well, I don't think you understand, Dan, how big of a wrestling fan I grew up being. So I used to create wrestling theme songs
for everybody,
every teacher, every person in my class.
Are you making one for Amber?
Hers was boom, wasn't it? Was it
boom?
It was boom, and when she would walk through a room, I would go boom.
And like I took it as he was always making fun of me because I was bigger, and I thought, man,
Adam Boone Turner, yeah.
But it just didn't matter. Like I would create even lyrics to some people's theme music.
So you're a modern day Jim Johnston then?
Yes. Yes,
don't give him a big head.
So like this one guy, I used to call him Dandruff because he used to have dandruff in his hair. So I created a wrestling name. His name was Dandruff, and his theme song was Dandruff when he gets by the fan.
When he walks by the fan.
When he walks by the fan, it blows out like sand.
Dandruff.
So little things like that.
Man, I can see that down at the Woodford County Fairgrounds rocking out. Well, that's awesome to hear that you've kind of both gotten into this role. But Amber, I kind of want to know a little bit here because you're the one, Not that Adam's not putting it to work, but you're doing the training for it. So where are you training at? How did you get involved? And what was the thing that you're like, it's time to do it here? Well,
I'm going to go ahead and be honest with you, Dan. So, I have actually started my own kind of fitness and health. I don't want to say I'm a guru, but I've lost about 240 pounds naturally.
Oh, awesome.
I got up to over 400 pounds and, my health was deteriorating. I couldn't walk, literally couldn't even walk up my own stairs. And I had type 2 diabetes so bad I was insulin bound. I thought, okay, this is going to be my life. And one day I woke up and I said, you know what, this isn't how I'm living anymore. And I noticed in about 2020, obviously when coronavirus hit, a lot of people started to ask me, hey, how are you losing weight? And I thought, you know what? There's something to that. People want to know, and I've got the answer to something finally. And so I started actually, the process of breaking it down, showing other people, how to count their nutrients and how to log things and how to track their own progress. And next thing I knew, I had about 25 women that were working with me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow, okay, I've got something going here. And originally, it just started, I wanted to become a certified personal trainer. And I was like, you know what? I think I need to kick it up a notch because, if anybody watches me work out, which I actually do at my home, I disassembled my dining room, the place where I used to go and spend all my time. And I disassembled that and made an entire gym.
How ironic.
I know.
A dining room into a gym.
And it's a nice gym. It's a very nice gym.
It is.
And, we just... obviously, off the cuff, makes forces Adam and I to spend a lot of time together. And because of that, we were always watching wrestling.
Yeah.
And I just noticed, I was like, holy crap, I look like Chyna. I look like Chyna. She's a beast. I want to look like that. I want to be like that.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what sparked, this intrigue that I had was, okay, like I've made it this far in this journey. What else am I supposed to do? I've lost this weight. I'm at a normal weight. I'm not I'm not unhealthy anymore, but I didn't come this far and only come this far. Like, what do I want to do? And it just, they always talk about how you have epiphany moments, and I did. I had an epiphany moment. I thought, holy cow, I'm going to go wrestle. You know what? Let's just do it. And I threw it out there, and Adam and my husband did not flinch. And I thought, okay, if they don't flinch, we'll see what we can get going.
Well, Adam, you were probably like, all right, I'm doing it too.
This is my
This is my ticket.
No, I think they both kind of looked at me like, she's bad shit now, so let's tone it down. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can say that.
You can cuss here. Yeah.
Sorry,
there's no
FCC.
FCC guidelines on podcasting.
Yes,
so.
that's what's great about this. That's what's great about this show.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it. I just decided that enough's enough, and it's time for a change. No Owen Hart pun intended there, and I just kind of went with it.
Awesome. And where are you training now?
So I have officially been accepted into the Al Snow Wrestling Academy, which we know is the combine training school for Ohio Valley Wrestling, which is used to be one of the biggest ways that talent could break in. Look at the people we had come out of there: Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, John Cena.
Well, and plus, Al Snow, he used to host Tough Enough.
Yeah.
And
Al Snow had a whole hardcore match by himself with himself.
He did. But you got to see how he trained when he was a trainer on Tough Enough. And I thought he was great. So the fact that you're training with a legend like Al Snow is just
and it's
cool
not just going to be Al Snow. We've also got Dan the Man Severin.
That's cool.
Who's also one of the coaches there. Probably one of the meanest, baddest, most facial expression person I've ever seen. So it's going to be interesting.
So have you gotten the chance to meet Al Snow?
Not yet. Now, we have definitely met quite a few wrestlers, but Al Snow is not there yet. I have been on several emails with him, so that in itself, is kind of a little shocking. Mm-hmm. Little shock factor.
Now, have you already started training, or are you just kind of...
I'm training on my own. I do not start school until, September 13th, I think, is our start day.
I believe so.
What does training look like? Are you just, trying to take bumps? Or are you trying to, just throw on your back and be like, here we are?
Training for me right now?
Yeah.
So training for me now, I work out. I'm in constant, active movement for about 6 hours a day. I am running around my house. I'm running with my corgis. Just trying to keep up my stamina. I do a lot of weightlifting, a lot of weights. So really right now it's just the stamina, getting up my strength, being able to hold my own body weight, doing push-ups for the first time, at 33. So right now it's just a lot of the maintenance and I guess the fine-tuning and then bumps and stuff coming real soon.
Well, now you need to become a manager so you and I can start a rival of two managers against each other.
Well, I did have Superior Tony Evans, who's part of OVW, on my show. So
that's cool.
Maybe I'll go be his manager. So,
dude.
Yeah. So he's a lot more in shape than I am. I'm the Flab, but Fab and Flab. That's our team name. So if you ever see Tony at OVW, tell him I said Team Fab and Flab is coming for you. So
Team Fab and Flab.
That's a really catchy name. Team Fab and Flab.
Yeah. But Adam, have you started doing any training to start being a manager? Like, you watching Jim Cornette clips, or you watching JJ Dillon clips or something like that?
That's funny that you asked that, because there is this documentary on the network that covers different managers, and it really focuses on just the top managers of all time: Paul Bearer, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Jim Cornette.
Heyman.
And who was the Mouth of the South? Jimmy Hart.
Yeah.
People like that. Paul Heyman, yes. Can't forget about Paul E. Mm-hmm. But I just watch closely to kind of just the things that they do. You got to be, in order to be a good heel, you have to be a chicken heel. Mm-hmm. You have to be somebody who is scared of your opponent. You got to be somebody who is doing the dirty, doing things... Not getting down and dirty, but doing things very dirty. You're not playing fair. And it's the same way with heel managers. You got to be chicken shit. You got to be
We'll
playing
have the
dirty.
Eddie Guerrero mentality: lie, cheat, and steal.
Lie, cheat, and steal.
Yeah, but so that actually, so I want to ask you: is this going to be a heel act with you guys? Or you guys
Most definitely.
You guys don't want to be faces?
No, we're not face.
That's not fun.
Really?
No.
Who wants to be face? I think if I were ever to be in wrestling, which I'm going to,
We are in wrestling.
but I would not want to be face. I know faces, they make more money and people buy their products. At least they used to. I think we're living in an era now where people root for heels more than they used to.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. But, you know, to take a little segue from wrestling, because, man, we're going to keep coming back to this. And it's fun. I'm excited about it. But
I'm fine with it.
yeah. But we got to talk more about y'all's show, because, I mean, like you said, Adam, you guys have hit such a milestone in the last couple months with your 100th radio broadcast. And can I just tell you, man, how proud I am for you, because I remember when the very first show you came on mine, you talked about how one of your dreams was to be on radio, and now you've done over 100 episodes of it, man. So good on you, brother.
Thanks, bro. That really means a lot. And
Yeah.
yes, I think that what I am so thankful of is, I was thinking about that this morning, and that because Thursdays I reflect a lot because it is radio day and I am doing something that I love a lot, but I have so much to be thankful for. I'm in a career that I love to do, and I'm on the radio. I have a radio show. I take great pride that we do the show live. I think 90% of the shows were live. That's the juice for me right there, is doing live. And it's just, I've always been just so attracted to that medium of radio more than television. I'd done television. That was cool, but it's still... There's nothing like doing radio. And I'm just so thankful to be able to do it and to have done over 100 radio broadcasts. It's still mind-blowing to me.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Well, hey, you've been doing a great job. I've been listening in. I don't care what y'all's grammar's like. I'm all for
The grammar, you got to...
Were you the grammar police?
I'm not the grammar police. Someone else on Apple Podcast.
Yeah,
is.
you
I
read
know.
that? Like, pissing me
did.
off. People would be on there saying...
Haters.
Yeah, saying, oh, I love the show until I heard the mispronunciation of scene and saw. Who gives a shit? Like, are you kidding me?
Well, if you're gonna be rude and be accurate.
they're
'cause
trying
they
to correct-
said irregardless wasn't a word,
Exactly.
and it is, baby, it is.
Hey, you know what? Since you're going to be a pro wrestler, you can find the grammar police here and give them a power slam and all that stuff.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go and I'll stand outside and scare their kids.
There you
That's what
go.
I'll do, because they're all adults. I'll just be the boogeyman that their kids. Mommy, there's a weird woman out the window.
But honestly, like I was thinking, is like you guys make your show sound so genuine, because no pun intended, it's off the cuff. It's very, here we are, and this is who we are, and that's what I've loved about the show for so long too.
Yes, I mean, that's...
It has to be like that, because one of the biggest things that we found when we went on the radio was that everybody had an opinion. I mean, opinions are what, like assholes, everybody has one.
Yeah.
And man, there is nothing more that people love to do than show their ass when they're giving you their opinion.
Oh yeah, I work in banking. I understand
Oh yeah,
that.
so you definitely get
Yeah.
it. And I think we even had a conversation one day when we were heading over to the old studio, and it was basically just like, look, we're either going to do this or we're not going to do it. And I think that's just kind of how we go into it every day with, okay, we're here to do a job. This is our job. We're not friends. Like we're coworkers, and we keep it as professional as we can. But at the same time, we both love it. And this is something that we both live, eat, breathe. I know we've talked a lot about wrestling, but Off the Cuff is 99.9% of our time. We're hustling the show, trying to get our show out there, trying to get new listeners, get new people on the show. So, it's genuine because it's our life. We live it.
And I also think it's genuine because we are friends in real life, and that comes across on the show. I think. I mean, it's hard to know what everybody's feeling or how we come across to other people, but I think that the reason why you say that it comes across good and our relationship is good because we do have a real life relationship. Amber and I don't just hang out for
1 hour a
week.
week.
We don't just hang out 1 hour a week. We're hanging out after the show, before the show, on weekends. So she truly is a friend, and I think that if she was somebody that I was just seeing 1 hour a week, then yeah, I think it could be a different show.
Yeah, well, good. You got a real friend in your corner there. So.
Yeah.
So, obviously, over the last year, we've all had challenges. It's been, with the COVID outbreak, with everything else going on in the world, there's been a lot of things. So let me ask you this, since you guys have been on the radio for a year and you've had to go through a pandemic with it, what's been some of the biggest challenges of doing this show?
Wow, definitely. The studio got shut down, and without hesitation, we both kind of looked at each other, and we knew that we needed to immediately come up with what the hell are we going to do, because we're not stopping our show.
And we needed a way to keep a live aspect to it, because I feed off a live audience and being live.
And the interaction that we get, from the show thread.
And the studio shutting down, it prevented us from going live. So we had to pre-record the show and then air it. And I said, to keep that energy up, we got to do something. So we went Facebook Live, and that supplemented for a while. But looking back, I'm thankful that it happened, because it allowed us to be introduced to the technology of Zoom, and it also allowed me to know that if anything ever happened with the gig at WLXU, or if anything ever happened to where Amber couldn't be in studio with me, we could always do the show via Zoom.
Yeah.
And it's essentially the same show.
Awesome. And during that time, the quarantine, what did you call it? The quarantine editions?
It was the house arrest.
House arrest editions. You guys had some great guests on. You've had traveling nurses, college professors, local podcasters
Wait, we had a local podcast. I'm kidding.
But you guys also had another big guest on, and we're getting back on to the wrestling train here. And Terry Reynolds.
Yes, I think that was almost a year ago.
It was over a year ago.
Yeah, she was great.
Here's my only pet peeve with Friends in the Corner podcast, with Off the Cuff. So 3 weeks before Terry came on, I came on, and I feel like that just completely. I feel like you set your audience up for failure, because you're like, all right, here's Dan Pauly. All right, here's Terry Reynolds. It's like, how do you compete with that? It's like,
it happened so fast.
Hey,
though.
Don't need to compete. You were amongst good company.
Oh, thank you. So I'm glad I got to share a radio time with Terry Reynolds. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, bro, it was fun though. Having Terry on the show, I think it really brought a lot of traction to the show. It really brought a lot of traction to our YouTube page. Before the Terry interview, I think Off the Cuff had under 50 subscribers on the channel, and then after the Terry interview, we have over 220.
Wow.
So that really did open up a whole new audience just off that one interview.
So how did that come about? How did you guys get connected with Terry and get her in the process of getting her on the show?
Oh my goodness. You want me to take this one?
Yeah, you take that one.
Okay, so I'm going to make this as painless as I possibly can, because I feel like the process of getting her on was very painful for me, because I'm very impatient, because my partner is very impatient. I think we all know that. So, I basically did what everybody else does, and I was like, who manages her? Can I DM her directly? I ended up finding an email that said book Terry Reynolds, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to shoot my shot, baby. I'm just going to shoot it. And I sent an email, and I just told whomever was going to get this just as nicely as I could, hey, we're a poor radio broadcast, and we love wrestling, and
Did you really say we were a poor?
We're poor radio.
I think I said our resources.
We are from Kentucky.
We're poor. I think I said we're a up and coming radio show with limited resources.
Okay.
So AKA we're poor, and
card.
exactly. And I ended up getting an email back from a very nice gentleman, Mr. Martin Duggan, which we've actually had come on the show.
Interesting gentleman.
Interesting gentleman. He not only manages Terry, he manages Jackie, he manages Ivory. He does the Luna Vachon fan page with the blessing from her kids.
Oh, wow.
So Martin is very, very, very involved in female wrestling, and He was just a dream to work with. He was no problem at all. I think he listened to a couple of things in the show. Honestly, I think he was a little smitten with Adam, and I think that's what got things running a little bit more. Because he had no interest in talking to me at first.
Just put on that charm, like, hey.
Yeah.
Adam Banks charm. Dan knows what it is.
And, since then he has become a great friend of Off the Cuff. I do want to say that, like I said, Martin's been on the show, but he was so nice to me. He made it to where, Terry came on. We were only supposed to get, I think, about 15 minutes with her. And that ended up turning into, we had over an hour's worth of content to kind of work with. And I actually got to spend about 5 minutes by myself with Terry Runnels on a Zoom call, just staring at this woman. And I was like, holy crap, I would be a lesbian for you if you would let me.
She's just so down to earth. I mean, you talk about somebody who you talk to her, you feel like you've known her all your life. You forget that she's such a star. I mean, really, I really forgot that who she was when we had her in front of us on camera. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
You're Terry Runnels.
I mean, like I said, I was going to make that very painless, but it was just a very long process of getting things organized. I guess that was the biggest takeaway from me because, this was the first time I had ever really organized a big guest coming on the show, was to just have patience and to understand that, just as excited as I was to have her come on, she was nervous to be there too. It was another podcast she was doing, And
she opened up.
She did. She opened up a lot to us.
And if fans want to go and listen to that in our archives, you hear a lot of interesting stuff because she talks about how Sable and Sonny
was a bad mom.
Yeah, she talked about how Sable was a bad mother.
She was so candid. She was like, yeah, I didn't like Sable.
No.
So, yeah.
She talks about how Scott Hall was homophobic and didn't want to work with Goldust.
Yeah.
She talks about China.
She gives a story, a private story with China and Triple H and her daughter. And so she shares a lot of that time. You remember that? Well, no, you don't remember it because you didn't watch then. But she talks about her co-hosting duties and backstage hosting duties after she was a wrestler.
I've gone back and watched some Terry. I was very familiar with her work because, Terry Reynolds.
Yeah.
Back in the night.
Yes.
Yeah.
A sexy little
I just
Cheetah.
think I got 5 minutes alone with her.
Yeah. My wife's in the other room, so I can't say too much right now.
And I'm sure my husband's, I think my husband is watching on our live show. Hi, honey.
So, Adam, would you say that's probably the biggest guest you've had on the show? Or I know you've had some other guys like the gentleman. Who's the guy? Was that guy from the Little Rascals you had on? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He was on there. Well, behind Dan Pauly being on the show.
I was going to say, didn't you have Dan Pauly on the show?
Yes, he's a pretty big
Okay.
star. I would say, yes, Terry Reynolds is the biggest star to be on the show, and that's because she's a legend. She's been seen, she's known across multiple generations, and so yes, I would think that she's the most famous.
Now, you also had Brad Calipari on the show.
Yes, there have been other credible people that have showed up, but
like Dan Pauly.
Like Dan Pauly, yes, and we've had people like Better Call Saul. We had an actor from Better Call Saul come on.
We had a Radio Disney star come on.
Yes, we had who was that?
That was Will Muse.
Oh, Will Muse, yes. We had all kinds of people show. Dave Buzz Baker from UK showed up. So a lot of local celebrities. Ryan Lemon showed up and did an interview. So, yeah, a lot of local stars.
Not Matt Jones?
No. No, not Matt. I don't know. Maybe I can communicate with Matt Jones in the OVW world.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you've heard Terry Reynolds? I've had her on. So you can unblock me and put me on.
Wait, does Matt Jones have you blocked?
He's got me blocked on Snapchat.
Oh, okay.
He did block me on Snapchat.
What were you sending him to make him block you on Snapchat?
I think I just sent a lot of random UK memorabilia that he did not care about, and he blocked me.
Well, let's talk about the new studio here. So I know you guys just moved into the new WLXU studio, which is in the Gray Line station.
It is.
Right? Yeah. So how's that transition been, and what do you guys think of the new setup? Because we've gone down the Gray Line a few times. We love it.
Man, it's so much better, aesthetically pleasing. There's actually a window to look out of. There's more visibility for people to see that we're actually a radio station, and we actually feel like we're going to a radio station when we go into the building now. And it's surrounded by so many different shops and cool, unique people. I mean, there's psychics there. There's people who sell crystals there, alcohol
Spencer
there.
Pratt's there?
Not Spencer Pratt crystals, Pratt Daddy crystals. Dan has no idea who you're talking about.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
But
Well, one of my favorite breweries is right down the road for you guys is Rock House Brewery.
Yes, we love Rock House,
Yeah.
and we actually have a food truck that's been going there recently. If you've seen that, Mama D's.
Ooh.
So that's some good food. So good beer and good food at Rock House.
Absolutely. And they got the Shan the Dew brew, so.
yes,
Hey.
which is a good brew, by the
Yeah.
way. I've had that. And Gray Line, where we moved, I like it a lot because people can hang out there in the summertime. It's just a really cool spot to hang out. And I think that that's going to do nothing but help Off the Cuff because, like I said, it gives us more visibility. And if any of your listeners, I'm telling you, you need to go check out the new Gray Line station off North Limestone. It's a cool spot. It's very city-ish.
It's
cultured.
very cultured. It's very urban. It's exactly what you think of when you think of like an openish market.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely Lexington needed something like
Yes.
this, so I'm so happy that we kind of get to be a part of it and get to be we have a reason to be there.
Yes.
And I mean the food is just amazing
Oh, yeah.
all through there.
Well, so Adam, as you know, I'm from Ohio. My Buckeye flag is flying right there.
Yes. I'm sorry about that, and I won't hold it against you, Dan.
But so up in Columbus, there's a similar market called the North Market that's kind of inspired Gray Line.
Oh, that's
Okay.
cool.
And yeah, and the setup is very similar. They're eventually going to evolve into what North Market is, I think. And so I'm really excited that Lexington, because I mean, the time I've been here, and you guys have been here longer than me, it's grown just so much over the last 10 years.
Definitely.
And it's cool to see, like, it's not just a college city anymore. It's actually like a place to live and a place to be, and it's awesome.
I never saw Lexington as a college city, and I guess that's because I never lived here during college. You did,
Yeah.
So it's like I went to school in Moorhead. To me, Moorhead's only a college town, but I've never seen Lexington as just a college town. I've always felt like we've had our own culture here. It's grown a lot over the last 5 years, our culture, and I think we've got more of an identity of a city outside of just being a college town. But North Limestone really, or the Gray Line station on North Limestone, I think really helps identify us being a more cultured city. And I'm just glad that we're there because I think that that's just awesome for Off the Cuff.
Well, I'm going to say the biggest thing is, when WLXU, prior to the move, we were in the bottom of the STEAM Academy, which is downtown Lexington on 6th Street. And, we're in the basement of, obviously this is I think it's a high school. Maybe it was like middle and high school.
Yeah.
And when I would go into the studio, my back was always to the door. So I just always had to like hope and pray if anything was going on, Adam was going to like give me a flinch or, wink an eye at me. So the best thing to me about the new studio is they have placed a piece of plexiglass. Now, obviously that's a COVID measure, but I can actually see outside. So no more surprises for me anymore. So that's my biggest,
So you're a lot more comfortable.
I'm a lot more
And
comfortable.
people will look through that window.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter if the sign says on air. People will not pay any attention to that. They'll look through the window. They'll stare, especially little kids. I mean, they will put their mouth, nose, eyes right up to the window and just stare at you for 5 minutes. That's distracting.
Well,
That's
and
hilarious.
we're kind of like there's a bus stop that's right there. That's within eye shot. So when I'm looking outside, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to get me a little view too. I see people falling, and that is so difficult for me to like not start like just busting out laughing. I think somebody fell last week.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this. Like
Yeah.
this is a live show, and I just watched this old lady eat the concrete. Like I don't know how to continue.
Yeah, well, it's I'm really happy for you guys that you guys have this new studio and you're not cramped in a basement anymore.
Nope.
Yes.
And it's like I said, for the listeners that are in Lexington, or if you're planning on visiting Lexington, check out Gray Line Station. It's really cool. Maybe you can go watch Adam and Amber do their show. Stare at them aggressively through the window.
Yes,
If
please
you
do
fall, I'll call you out.
do not stare, please.
You
I
might
usually wave, or I'll say, somebody's staring at me right now, Amber, give me a second.
I was gonna say you're not waving. He's usually like a hand gesturing, but it's usually to me, and it's definitely not a wave.
Well, one thing I wanted to do for this show, as we kind of start segueing into the last bit of the show here, like I said, you guys have been on for so many episodes here. You're almost hitting 400. And probably some of my favorites I listened to over the last couple of years, Adams, is your top 10 most interesting people of the year.
Yes.
I've listened to 2018, 2019, and 2020.
Yes.
And so, we're at this point, we're a little over halfway through 2021, which has already been a much better year than 2020 so far.
Yes.
by
100%.
By far.
2020 was bad.
So I was wanting to do a top 5 most interesting people of 2021 so far.
Okay.
So maybe it'll give you some inspiration for your end of the year show.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But I want to give you guys my top 5. Get some of your talks, and I'll be forefront because I listen to your show. Some of these people you may personally not like. Some of these people I personally do not like, but they have been interesting this year.
Yeah, that's part of
Yeah.
it.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
People that fall on my 10 most fascinating people list are sometimes people that I can't stand, but that doesn't change the fact that they're still fascinating.
Yeah. So we'll start off with number 1 here for
Okay.
you, and keep that thought in mind,
Okay, this is going to be good.
because number 5 is Kamala Harris.
He listens to the show, don't he?
Absolutely.
He listens to the show.
Absolutely.
She's the most unlikable person,
Yeah.
I think, that's been in politics for the last, I don't know, 50 years. I just don't think that she's very likable. Do you?
I mean, I'm mixed on it.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say is, historically, it's been awesome because we've had the first
Correct.
female, first African American,
Yes.
first everything,
Yes.
vice president. But then I also have seen some of the issues that have been talked about. Like, I know that the Memorial Day tweet was a big one from a few weeks ago. That was like, "Hey, have everyone have a happy Memorial Day," and she got kind of kiboshed on Twitter for that.
Yeah, right.
But I'm split down the middle. I'm still trying to see what she's all about now. I think she's very whenever she talks, you're like, okay.
Well,
but yeah. But,
She reminds me of a boss that you would have that would complain to you for coming back 5 minutes late for lunch. That's the best way that I would describe Kamala Harris.
She's the boss waiting on you at the
Yeah.
lunch clock.
and
Yes.
you've never had one of those, right? Adam?
Yeah.
So, at a former employer or
I've
somewhere.
never had anybody like that be like that.
I might have heard some of your all's horror stories.
Take me back, man. Take me back.
But yeah, we'll go to the next one here because we've talked a little bit about OVW, and that's kind of connected to this next one here. So my number 4 is Matt Jones.
Okay.
Hey.
And, Matt Jones is someone over the last couple of years, he's probably, I would say in the last couple of years has kind of been maybe in that echelon of top 5 most interesting for different things.
Yes,
with-
he's fallen on my list before.
Has he?
Yes.
Okay. So Matt Jones has made news more recently this year for a couple things because he at the end of last year he sold his website KSR, and then he bought Ohio Valley Wrestling, where Amber's going to be training in the school for, and so I think that's been kind of interesting because while I'm not everything that Matt Jones does, I'm a big fan of. I do think sometimes he can be a little bit arrogant. Sometimes he can push your buttons as far as opinions on Kentucky goes. He's ghosted Adam before.
He has, yes.
But I do think he's brought some credibility back to OVW because I think people don't really realize in Kentucky here, we had one of the biggest, recruiting schools for the WWE.
Yep.
John Cena, Batista, Randy Orton, modern day CM Punk, Cody Rhodes. I mean,
Brock Lesnar,
Shelton Benjamin. You name like a early 2000s wrestler that was pretty big, and they probably came out of OVW.
Absolutely.
And then that relationship got cut off, and and OVW as a school has kind of been an afterthought the last couple of years.
I do think that Matt has brought some credibility back to OVW. Matt's job is to be a promoter.
Yes.
What's Matt good at? Promoting. Look at what he has done with his own career. Look at his own social media. Every platform that he's on, he's always knocking on the door of 200, 300,000 followers. He's also a promoter with, look at KSR, where it's grown leaps and bounds. So he obviously has a proven track record of growing things. He grew Hey Kentucky, a TV show, from nothing to being probably one of the most watched shows on WLEX. So we know he's good at promoting, and even now taking over the reins of being one of the owners of OVW, he's helped that promotion grow, their social media following. I know that before their social media post wasn't getting as many likes as they were when he took over. So, yes, I do think that he has brought some credibility. Wrestling is such a bigger world than just UK sports. It's such a bigger world than just Kentucky. So I think only time will tell. So far, I would give him an A for what he's done, but I think only time will tell if he can grow it outside of the state.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, you know, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, you know, the man that we loved with wrestling was Vince McMahon, and he was known for being a dick. I don't know how else to say it other than that. And I think who better to step up, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but, you know, I want to learn from the best. I didn't come this far to come this far. So I'm really excited to be under someone who literally took something out of nothing. And, you know, I'm speaking of KSR, I'm speaking of Hey Kentucky, and just his entire brand in general, the Matt Jones brand, and created something out of it. And, you know, that's the kind of people I want to be around, the kind of dedication that they have. You know, I surround myself with Adam. You know, who do we know more dedicated to being on radio? And, you know, look where we're at now. So I'm excited. You know, what better person to learn from than a person who self-promoted?
So Matt Jones was number 4, and number 3 is Jeff Bezos of Amazon.
Okay.
And, you know, probably Jeff Bezos has probably been on a list of yours before, probably at some point.
I don't know if Jeff has or not. That's
He's
a
not?
good one. I don't know.
I think we shied away from talking a whole lot about Amazon last year because I feel like he was on the... I feel like we threw his name around a little bit, and I did an internship with him, so I think I always steered away from
So you've met
speaking.
Jeff before?
No, but I have met a lot of the higher executives. We were the first class of interns that came through that were virtual, so we did kind of get catered to a little bit, and that was obviously during the time that, you know, we were doing coronavirus, and I do remember we tried to steer clear of that talk.
No, but you're not...
No,
okay, then
no.
let's let the bulls loose. So,
Jeff Bezos, though, I think after his whole drug testing fiasco has made him one of the most fascinating people in the entire world, because he's one of the first CEOs, or is he even still
He's
the CEO?
not CEO.
he's stepping down.
So
Yeah.
I guess this was not even his decision then, was it? With what I'm talking about is Amazon now taking pot off of their drug screening.
Oh, I didn't know about
You didn't
this.
even know that. Yeah,
No.
you can now, they don't test for weed anymore at Amazon. So I guess that wasn't Jeff Bezos' decision, since he's not the CEO.
I'm sure Amazon constantly has people doing updates, so that probably a lot of the decisions that they make are probably not even made at an executive level, but are probably just workers that had an idea in a one-pager that they threw out there. But the fact that he's going to space,
Yes, and that's what I was going to say, because in the last year with the pandemic, I don't know if anyone's lived their best life more than Jeff Bezos, because his net worth grew by $24 billion.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and he also announced that he was stepping down as CEO of Amazon, and he's celebrating by flying to space with his brother and a mysterious, hyper-rich passenger who's paying a significant amount of money to go with them. So
Just to
Elon Musk.
keep
Elon
him
Musk.
company?
Just to keep him company, the three of them. And then there's also a petition that's been signed for them to stay in space. So there's like a change.org petition for people to say, don't let Elon Musk, don't let Jeff Bezos back into the atmosphere. Just let him go. Just let him be where he's at.
I couldn't imagine wanting to go out to space.
You know, I think the thing that got me, you know, when that came out was I always like to think that men in powerful positions are just great critical thinkers and they really like take into account like all things around them. It's just so difficult for me to like see a man of this kind of stature understand that, you know, we've still not made as many advances in aerospace and I guess aerospace dynamics is what we would want to. And here he is taking this money because I think he built his own ship. Is that not? I think that's what he did.
Maybe, yeah.
Like SpaceX or Space Blue or something like that. You know, God gave us gravity for a reason, buddy. Keep your feet on the ground. And it just makes me really question people. Like, I understand to a certain extent when you're that much of a genius, you've got to have a touch of the crazy. But a touch of the crazy is different than a touch of the stupid. And I just don't understand why people want to go, you know, we're the only planet that's got gravity for a reason, baby. Keep your feet on the ground.
Well, we got Jeff Bezos going to space here. And now, so that was Jeff Bezos number 3. And now for my number 2, most interesting person in the world is a gentleman named Nick Khan. Are you guys familiar with Nick Khan at all?
Nick Khan.
Nick Khan. No,
Khan.
I don't know who that is.
So Nick Khan last year was named president of the WWE.
Okay,
Oh.
I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah, so Nick Khan, he is a former attorney, and he's worked for a few different sports agencies that represents different broadcasters. So he's represented broadcasters within the WWE as an agent. He's represented boxing broadcasters, and kind of hitting close to home, he's represented broadcasters for SEC football.
Okay.
Wow.
But last year he was named president of WWE, and since then he's been doing a lot of different things with the company, implementing a lot of different policies for staff, and really taking a leadership role. He's gone from pretty insignificant to pretty significant, and I think that's pretty interesting when we talked about Vince McMahon earlier, and kind of this being. I've kind of looked at Nick Khan stepping up. Now, Vince still has a stay in the company, but with Nick Khan being one of the people to step up, it's starting to look like a transition of power away from Vince McMahon.
Well, let me ask you, when did he take that position?
Yeah, I have to look it back up. It was late 2020.
Okay,
Oh.
if he was the one that was behind the WWE network
I
going
knew
away
it.
and combining with the Peacock network, this guy is awful, and I think that they need to really do something about getting him removed, because he's going to destroy the WWE. Because the one good thing that they have to stand on is the network. It's a plethora of footage that we can go back and enjoy. That's what the old fans like, and he took that away because the content on the Peacock network is just so hard to navigate. It's very censored.
I don't have Peacock, so I haven't seen
Don't.
it.
It's bad. It's not worth it. Some of
Things
the,
are cut.
some of the
Signs are blurred.
Signs are blurred. I mean, how are you going to blur a sign from back in the Attitude Era? That's
been around for 20 years
a
already.
product that we like. So
Yeah.
if you're trying to if this president is trying to commercialize the WWF or whatever you want to call it,
Pick the wrong sport.
yes, and I'm not a fan of him if he is the one behind it.
Well, and I don't necessarily think like, oh, he's going to be the end all be all person to take over. I mean,
Yeah.
I still think Hunter and Steph are going to be leading
Absolutely.
that charge once Vince is gone.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting that Vince has always been like the end all be all. Now those certain regulations are starting to get transitioned to other places now.
Yeah. They say Vince still is the one he knows everything about the company. Still, he knows what's on the lunch menu every day. They said he's very hands on. I thought Shane McMahon. I really always thought growing up that he was going to be the one to take it over,
Yeah.
but it just didn't turn out that way.
He's always looked like a startup tech guy from Silicon Valley every time I've seen him, and especially in his younger age with his sneakers and his blazer and all that stuff.
Yeah, he was
Shane O'Mac.
he was a miniature Vince McMahon, and I think that he would have done a better job. He's more entertaining than I don't want to say more entertaining than Stephanie. They're both brilliant at what they do. I wish that Shane was more involved than what Hunter and Stephanie were, because if they allow the way wrestling to continue to be the way it is, then It's not good.
Here's what gets more confusing. So Nick Khan is the president of the WWE, but Tony Khan is the president of AEW, the competition to the WWE.
Are they related?
They're not.
Isn't Tony Khan originally from WCW?
No, he's he and his dad are the owners of the Jacksonville Jaguars and
Okay.
Fulham Soccer League.
Oh, wow.
So, but yeah, Nick Khan, I think, is Canadian, and they're not Canadian. But, yeah, but two Khans running the two biggest wrestling shows in the country. So,
Well, I mean, I guess if you ask most people, people think wrestling is a big con because they always think it's fake. So I guess what better name to have?
then Khan.
Than
Khan.
Khan.
The Khan and Khan show. So,
I feel like AEW is more about the old WCW plan, hiring old WWE talent and making them have their second or third act or sometimes fourth act there.
Well, if you're Chris Jericho, this is your 20th.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, really.
Your 20th comeback.
But I think it's very much WCW-ish. But I think if AEW continues to create more original young stars, they could give WWE a run for their money. I think WWE still dominates every aspect of the wrestling world.
Absolutely.
Well, it will when they sign a contract for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think though that this new president that the WWE has hired, this Khan gentleman, I think that if he could just, I don't know, he's got to figure out a way to bring entertainment back to the product, and I know you can't just live off the old guys because they are getting old, but they've got to find a way to recreate the magic. It's there, and I don't know if we'll ever have it again, because if that was Vince's vision, because we wouldn't have this without Vince. So
Right.
Does this all die with Vince? Is this just wishful thinking? And if it is, cool, but at least give us the network. Don't take that away from us like he did.
And my number one most interesting person of 2021 so far is someone actually I personally do not care much for, but I have to admit, God, I respect this guy, is Tom Brady.
Yes.
Tom Brady is he won a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
His first year with a new team after
Yep.
spending 19 years in Foxborough. Wins a Super Bowl. And I know in the past, Adam, we've talked about Kobe Bryant. We talked about Michael Jordan as being the GOAT. I'm sitting here as a 30-year-old man who really doesn't remember too much Michael Jordan. Has watched a lot of LeBron, but as far as decorated athletes go, I think I'm going to go on and say on the record here that Tom Brady is the greatest athlete of all time.
Ooh, the greatest athlete
Yes.
of all time. Now, that's
Tom Brady's
interesting.
the
Now, I don't know if I would consider... Now, Tom Brady, without question, the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. Without question, I'd even go ahead and say he's the greatest football player to ever play the game. But to call him the greatest athlete of all time, I don't know. Because I'm looking at, as far as his athletic ability, is Tom Brady the best athlete? Like, Jordan is why he's who I would say is the best athlete of all time because of how athletic Jordan was and how Jordan could, he played baseball.
Yeah.
He gets a reputation for being terrible. He wasn't that bad. I mean, he was still able to go and play in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
He was still...
Did better than Tebow.
yeah. Yeah, really. But, that's as far as calling him, I don't know if I would even call any quarterback... well, yeah, I don't know if I would call him the greatest athlete, but definitely the greatest quarterback and football player of all time. I know what you're saying. The ability that Tom Brady has, I mean, from where he started to where he is now, what he has proven to himself, to the world. I mean, I honestly don't even think he's done. I think he's still going to win another one.
Oh,
and
yeah.
to even say that's so unrealistic, but is it with Tom Brady?
No.
I mean, it's not. He took Tampa Bay in 1 year
To a Super Bowl. And
to
won.
a Super Bowl. He was at he was with the Patriots for how many years, Dan? Over a decade.
Yeah, over a decade. Yeah, long time.
Long time.
2021
And he
is when he
won
drafted.
5 Super Bowls, right? Or six with them.
6.
6 with them.
And then one with the Tampa.
And then he went his first year to another team who hadn't won a Super Bowl in like 30 years.
Yeah.
and won a Super Bowl with him. What?
After being called a system quarterback, you're only as good as Bill Belichick.
Yeah, and he did it without Bill Belichick. Everybody said you only won those championships because you had Bill Belichick as your coach. Where was Bill Belichick with Tampa Bay?
Yeah. And then you look at how good the Patriots did last year.
Yeah, Tampa Bay, you talk about those guys having it all, those players. They get to play with the best athlete, as Dan likes to say, in the world, and they get to be in the Florida sunshine and always be in a position to win a Super Bowl. I mean, it's never out of the realm of possibility with Tom Brady on your team.
What about that commercial that he did with Hulu during that one? I am not a Tom Brady fan. I think that his physical displays of affection towards his children are very, very, very unsettling, and I think that someone should put a stop to that.
You do know what we're talking about, right?
No, I haven't.
He kisses his children on the mouth,
yeah.
and I'm not a fan of that at all.
Yeah, that's pretty gross,
and it makes it difficult for me to see anything other than that. That's why I always hate finding out things about political people or celebrities in a sense, because once I know something about them like that, it's hard for me to appreciate any of their work from then on out. But I will say that commercial that he did, I think he kind of threw everybody for a loop. We thought he was retiring, and he said, "No, I'm coming back," and then bam, he switched to Tampa Bay. So, I mean, that was good marketing.
Yeah, got me a Hulu subscription. Well, marriage got me a Hulu subscription, but I gotta
that
say,
kept it.
Well, guys, it's been so much fun to have you on here as we start winding it down here. Let me ask you guys this. We're coming up on 400 episodes. You guys have done over 100 radio episodes. Where does the show go from here? Or what are you guys hoping to do with the rest of the year here with Off the Cuff?
I look to add more interaction with our fans into the show. It's one of my favorite parts. I think it's one of Amber's favorite parts too, is to be able to interact with our fans. I always have the intention of answering more calls and having more segments to where callers could call in. And I used to not do that because I wasn't confident that people were listening and people would call. But now that I know that I can tell somebody to call in, and in 10 seconds they're going to call now. Or I could, if I have the phone not on mute, the phone will start ringing, people trying to get in to talk with us on the show. So I think I want to add more fan interaction into the show. So I think that our fans can look forward to that as the months progress for Off the Cuff.
Awesome.
And then I know, we've talked about kind of getting out into, the Gray Line station and talking to more local people.
Yes.
We interacted with a lady today. And as soon as we told her, we're from the radio station, I think she literally was going to come across the counter on me. So it's nice, getting out there and seeing people who are local, seeing people who, are making a difference in our small community. So I think it's going to be something we're looking forward to, getting out there,
awesome.
Getting more involved in the community.
Well, the show's been great, and I've said this multiple times, but Off the Cuff has been a great show. Friends in the Corner podcast is probably has a little inspiration from Off the Cuff, which we talked about before.
Yes, we have.
And it's great to see, and I've told people, you guys' show is an inspiration to local content creators.
Well,
thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah, the way you guys have grown the show, you guys have been on the radio for so long. It's anyone can do it, and that's what I tell people with my show. It's small, but I know it can happen if you put enough time into it. So.
And consistency is key.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, folks, consistency is how you make something happen. No matter how bad my day was or how tough a time I was having, if you go back, you will notice that every year there's 50 episodes of Off the Cuff. Mm-hmm. Every year, because I would put out an episode every week. There's 52 weeks in a year. I would always take a little 2-week vacation or something, and I maybe would sporadically decide when those 2 weeks would be. But no matter what, if you put something out and you keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, something will happen. If you hang around the barbershop long enough, you will eventually get a haircut.
I was waiting on that.
He said that on every single episode he's been on here.
I was sitting over here and I was like, he's not going to say like the catch line of off the cuff.
I think that's like the 5th time he said that on Friends in the Corner.
but that's the gospel. That is. I mean, I truly feel like to succeed at your goal, keep hanging around the barbershop, you will get a haircut. But do good work.
Yeah, the consistency part is key, but attitude is everything. And I think because we both, like I said, we 99.9% of our lives live off the cuff. And I think because we live it, we love it, it's easy for us to do it. Nobody wants to do something that they don't love and enjoy. And, we get the opportunity to do that.
All right. Well, Amber and Adam, where can my listeners find the show and where can they find you online?
Well, you can follow Off the Cuff on Facebook and Instagram. The handle is Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all by just typing in The Adam Banks. And then Amber?
You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Ambu447, or you can follow my weight loss on Instagram at Get Moving Weight Loss.
She's got some really cool stuff on the Get Moving Weight Loss too.
Lots of videos, foods, home workouts.
Yes, it's pretty cool.
Man, it's gonna get me motivated here for my my 1-year wedding anniversary coming up. So,
and I met your wife today, Dan. What is she doing with you, bro? What is she doing with you?
I'm gonna take her with me when I leave. She's
too good
cute.
She's too good for you.
Literally, don't tell her too loud though. But till next time, guys.
Thanks so much, man.